So, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this seminar. It's entitled Improve Project Efficiency and Mitigate Risk. And the focus really is today around how to manage information around your projects, wherever you sort of sit. Certainly in the public sector, looking at and managing archived information is very important. So we'll address some of those issues that you face. So my name is Paul Daines. I'm Regional Director here from Nuforma. I'm joined today by James Cook, who's our Business Solutions Consultant. Hopefully you enjoy the session. Please, we'll take questions at the end of the session. So thank you. Well, I'll continue. So the agenda today is we'll look at some of the industry trends that we're sort of facing in the architectural, engineering, construction and owner space. We'll look at the factors that are influencing our decisions and how we execute projects. We're focusing then a little bit more on what Nuforma mean by project information management and the context to how you could use that within your working environment. I'll tell you a little bit about what Nuforma is all about and what we deliver. And then I'll hand over to James Cook, who will provide a baseline sort of demonstration of some of our capability. We've got lots more that we could show you, but perhaps for another day. So the AEC industry is quite unique, really, I would suggest. It depends where you sort of sit in the process and I think probably most online today will be in the owner space or activating or executing sort of small works type projects. But if we look at the overall sort of workflow from design companies like architects and engineers, they're working in huge amounts of change to really bring together a design that is suitable for construction, then is handing over that to the primary contractors who then may employ subcontractors to undertake the work. And at a point when the building is fully commissioned, it will be handed over to the owner, the client, within the context of the project. So lots of information that's flowing through that overall process between the respective partners that are really supporting the contracts. But huge complexity, irrespective of the scale of the project that one is executing, from small works up to large multi-high-rise type buildings or educational establishments or hospitals, huge amounts of complexity in terms of the disciplines that go into the design and construction of the building. So with that in mind, one of the key things that are facing here within the UK, the government has certainly laid down a mandate of how construction can be more efficient, but I think the reality of the situation is today there are still a lot of projects that traditionally go over budget, typically sort of eroding the margins in the design function, but also in the construction, and effectively getting a value for money billed at the end of the day. That lack of efficiency, perhaps, or inefficiency, is really causing everybody to effectively lose money. So invariably, projects also miss their original deadlines, and that not only damages firms' reputation, but it really just doesn't get the job done as quickly as possible, and that particular building becoming functional and being used. So big numbers. These are results of some of the surveys that we've done here in the UK and also in the US. And importantly, I think one of the main issues that factors these inefficiencies is really the sheer amount of data that we're having to manage through the project. And that value there, 65 times, I'll touch on where we've sort of accumulated that figure, but essentially round about 65 times the amount of data compared with about 10 years ago. And I think really because of the introduction of BIM, which is helping us make more changes, the sheer volume of email that we're also having to deal with, the sheer amount of data that we're actually generating, irrespective of what sort of position you're in and what function your company has. So that's impacting the way in which we use that information, also manage that information. So one of the main issues that we're sort of facing is the ever-changing requirements. I talked about complexity of the build, but also I think there's quite a significant technology evolution that is happening. Almost it feels like on a daily sort of basis. So important to really take stock of what technology really can help us, how it can help us in our day-to-day sort of work activities. And how that can help the next person, if you like, or next company in the value chain, really just understand the information that is there, using technology to best effect. We're also facing ever-increasing changes in client mandates. Just really the bottom line of all of those sort of various activities coming together, complexity, technology and client mandates, is really how do we connect those teams better together? How do we eliminate or reduce waste? How do we get fewer delays? How do we have mutual accountability? So effectively we've got win-win through the project, and everybody gets a fair share of the value that they're putting into the project. And also really, how can we collaborate more effectively? Contracts tend to be fairly rigid, but how can we enable information to work harder for us to achieve a higher quality, improved predictability and shared responsibility? So I talked about this figure, 65 times the amount of data, and this is just an example that Newform has come across. One of our early customers, HOK here in the UK, were executing a project back in 2004 where they were generating around about 100 gigabytes of data on a project. Today, on a similar size project, that data is up to about 6.5 terabytes, hence the 65 times amount of data. So huge amounts of information data that's been generated. So that's really the cause of what we're facing. The effect is really in terms of that data that we have available. What is the established value that we can extract out of that to help improve our design criteria, to help how we communicate that information to the contractor? How do we improve the value of that information contextually to the client? So you need systems, you need technology effectively to help you with this value gap that is arguably in place today. So other factors that really impact project efficiency and risk. I think everybody comes to work every day and tries to find information. Sometimes it depends the status of where that information is held. Invariably it's very hard to find information in a timely sort of basis. We're also finding that silos of information. Traditionally information is stored away in different areas, different applications, and it's really hard to find a consistent view and contextual view of that information. Where you've got workflows that are either process-driven or they're very much non-flexible really to support your needs, that also is an inhibitor to project efficiency. Traditionally, around manual document controls, teams of document controllers sitting around looking at drawings, making sure that they're grammatically correct and textually correct and in keeping with the design, if they're coming out of a 3D model in particular, making sure that information's correct, packaged together and sent on to the next person in the chain. And importantly also, it's really, I think, hard, given those silos of information, to be able to establish an audit trail of what you send to who and when. So these are just some. I'm sure there are many that you can think about, but in the context of today's presentation, what we believe is impacting project efficiency and risk. I think those are some of the key issues that we face. So just touching base on the technology approach, I think today we're sort of faced with choices. Traditionally, on the left, data would be stored on a server environment. Sometimes it could be in a database locked away, or multiple databases that different applications, different approaches to the task in hand. And also more recently, over the last few years, the use of cloud to really get data off-site. That may be applicable. Depends on where you are, where you sit. Whether that is intellectual property that you want to retain on premise, whether you want to just get data off into a cloud. But essentially, you've still got the same problem. You've got those sort of silos of information, and really knowing where to find that information is hard. So just putting that in context, you may have a bunch of applications that sit on databases or Windows servers or any other servers that exist in your environment. There may be 3D models and applications associated to authoring. You may have traditional Outlook email environment, which may also sit in the cloud if you're using something like Outlook 365, for example. And on the cloud side, clearly, there are lots of storage sort of capacity and ways in which you can transfer information. But traditionally, those types of products like Dropbox and Google Drive, don't really have the audit trail that really supports clear understanding, contextual information. So information being siloed is problematic, I think. So what Newformer really is looking at is really this broader term called project information management. So essentially, irrespective of where your information is stored, whether it be on premise in data servers or sitting up on the cloud, or you may have distributed sort of teams of people, project information is all about really providing contextual information to the project by effectively indexing that information in situ to provide that contextual status of information. So that's broadly the approach that Newformer takes rather than traditional document management systems or database systems or storing stuff in cloud. So to put that in sort of very simplistic sort of terms, from the confusion of understanding to really complete a complex and complete project picture and gaining the value of the huge amounts of information you're generating. So if individuals sit in their own particular working environments that've got all individual pieces of the puzzle, so the confusion is really how do they connect those pieces of puzzle together? Clearly they can come around the table and start to put that information together in a contextual sort of way. So it's really talking about shared visibility of information. But what Newform's attempt to do is really complete the puzzle where you have a particular task or function in hand to really bring all that information together on a contextual basis, irrespective of where that information may be stored. So hopefully you're getting an idea of the traditional issues that you may face in your workplace and how there may be a better way in which to achieve a common goal. So Newformer's mission really is about empowering project teams and uniting people with the data or information to improve transparency and accountability and trust really across the two paradigms of project management and information management to support better collaboration, informed decisions and project insights. So just because we've got limited time today, we're going to focus primarily around the information management side of things, looking at how we can search for information more readily, how we can control documents a little bit more efficiently in an automated way, how we can store and manage email that traditionally is stuck in everybody's inboxes and put it in context to projects, and also how we can share and collaborate more efficiently, not only internally but also with our partners on the project. So a little bit about Nuforma, our company, our customers and our technology, just to give you a feel for how useful our technology is. So, going back to value again, Nuforma is really connecting those individual sort of information silos, really to help improve or eliminate wastage in the design, construction, or indeed if you've got archived information in the operation side of things, to help you really find information much quicker and be more responsive to your clients or work teams to really improve the overall reputation of efficiency. These are some of our international customers, some of which you may recognise here in the UK. So leading architectural companies like Grimshaw's, BDP, HOK, those types of large architectural, but equally, our technology is used by small and medium enterprise type companies. We've got a few construction examples there, construction contractors like Turner Construction over in the US. So lots of companies using our technology to good effect, really, to help them execute projects and really manage projects through life cycle. These are some examples that if you go to our website, you'll be able to see how our customers talk about managing or minimizing information risk, and really just being able to find information more quickly that enables more time to do the function that you're effectively employed to do, which is really either come up with good designs, good projects to really help the efficiency. So if you have a chance, have a look at those or contact us direct and we can point you in the right direction for those. So just drawing on some of the technology that Nuforma offers, I talked about managing information in situ. So, what this particular slide is trying to represent is you've got a number of different file types that you traditionally would use on a project. What Nuforma really provides is indexing that information in situ, whether it be in a database, whether it be on your Windows server or up in the cloud. So if you're searching for something, in this case the term concrete, it would do a search through all of those information sources that are relevant to that project or projects, across projects, and find you that information very rapidly. So we undertake very deep searches to support that your requirements. We'll touch again a little bit on that when I hand over to James. So just to recap, no data is stored or moved, and so Nuforma just simply connects and forms relationships between that information and different file types that you traditionally use. So just going through the elements that we'll show you today. From a document sort of standpoint, what we're trying to look to provide to you is uniting your people with that data very quickly in situ, wherever it may be. We adopt existing permissions, so we don't really provide permission environments. We just use the Windows Active Directory, if you're familiar with that, the permissions that are set on the folders and files that you naturally use, so you'll have access to that information appropriate to those permissions. We have a very deep automatic scan using optical character recognition of those files that you want to access, and also that the files you wish to search, in situ, you'll be able to find those very rapidly. to support your needs. We've got lots of sort of tools to show you how we can access, once we've found that information, then add value to that information through natural, more flexible workflows to really utilize that information much more readily, even to the extent of doing deep searches within attachments that you may have contained within an email, something that Outlook perhaps finds hard to do. So email also, putting email in project context rather than filling up your inboxes and not being able to look at somebody's mail when he goes on holiday. This is really enabling email to be put in project context, and also deduplicating that as part of the workflow process. So importantly, I think that's really not only clearing your mail servers, but also really just putting everything in a very simplified sort of way in which you can search on the information, then develop workflows from a natural context to that received email, and putting that in a context that when you send that information out again, you're also being able to have that audit trail of what you've sent to who and when. So just really puts everything, your email in a project context more readily. We'll show you this with James's demonstration. So we've got a bit of a delay on the slide set here. Okay, so I won't dwell too much on this particular slide. It's a very complex slide, but just to say a couple of things against it. So Newformer offers a hybrid technology platform supporting on-premise and cloud, and then through a series of connectors connect to things like your cloud storage environment, if it's not on-premise, connecting to other database technologies, connecting to your ERP or project accounting environments, being able to connect to your Outlook environment, whether it be Exchange or 365, connecting to your authoring systems that you would use, like Revit, for example, if you're in the design type of usage, but also the ability to connect to third-party applications that you may use within your environment. Importantly, from a cloud perspective, it's also, if you're using that information in a mobile sense, you're out on site, you've forgotten to put that important drawing on your laptop or on your mobile, Newformer really enables single sign-on to log into your project center environment and be able to find that drawing or document and use it within the client office. So it really is a very effective way of having information that is mobile. Again, I won't dwell too much on this, but just to say that Newformer's technology is available in a modular form. So we offer communications, file distribution, productivity, and mobile, and BIM and contract management modules. Select what you need, use what you need on an annual subscription sort of basis. If you'd like more information on this, please contact us after this webinar. So enough of me. I'll hand over now to James Cook, who will show you some of these capabilities that I've been talking about. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul. Okay, so I'm firstly going to share my screen. So hopefully everyone should be able to see this screen shortly. Okay. Okay, so Newformer is this colourful icon right here. So I'm going to open up Newformer first of all. Okay, so when a user first opens Newformer, they'll be taken to their My Project Centre, My Projects homepage, and this will list all the projects that they have added themselves to, or a member of their project team has added themselves to also. So if there's a project that is not shown in their My Projects page, they would then go to the All Projects tab at the top here, and they can simply search on project number, project name, project manager, principal in charge, for instance. They can filter that information. So I'm going to quickly type in Alpine Grove Science Centre 4, and I'll select that project. On the left-hand side on the tasks, I'm now going to select Add to My Projects, and that's going to add that project to my My Projects tab. So when I go back to My Projects, that project will show like so. And if you're going to do three things, it's going to add that project here like so. It's going to add that project to Outlook, so I can now file email to that project, and also it's going to add me as a member to the project team on that project. So now I'm going to go into that project like so. And today, as Paul mentioned, I'm going to concentrate on these three main areas here, which is project files, project email, and info exchange. So I'm going to firstly start with project files. As we spoke about, straight away you can see how Nuform is indexing all the files, documents, folders in your project. And what Nuform is doing is pointing to that parent project folder, and it's indexing all the information within that folder. So straight away, just like Windows Explorer, I can navigate through the folder structure like so, and I can find relevant documents. And not only does it show the file name of the document, it also shows all the metadata associated to that file. So from here, I can also filter, which will filter over all columns. So in this example, I'm going to say A301, and it's found that document in that folder very, very quickly. The next tool I'm going to show you is how to search over all the product data. So as Paul mentioned, Nuform uses OCR technology, which stands for Optical Character Recognition. And not only will it find the file name on the document, it will also find the data inside the document itself. So I'm going to show you how that works now. So I'm going to type in the word concrete at the top here, and I'm going to go to this drop down and select current project. And that's now going to index all the data on the project. And from here, I can use various filters. So again, it's looking at the metadata associated to the files. So I can filter on Adobe Acrobat document, like so, and I can pull down and find relevant documents. So I'm going to open up a drawing file. So I'm going to type in Alpine Grove. Again, I'll use a filtering, and I'm going to open up this document here. So when I open this document, as you can see, it's not an Adobe Acrobat preview. It's actually opened up in a Nuform Viewer. And the Nuform Viewer works with any PDF document or any 2D drawing format. So DWF, for example, or DWG files will open up in the viewer. And from here, I can find the relevant word concrete. So it's going to zoom me into that area in the drawing where the word concrete appears, and also highlight that word for me. So I can do that in different instances. So as you can see, concrete appears 70 times in this drawing. And straight away, I found that word quickly on that file. And from here, I can zoom out. And from here, I can use these tools at the top here. So when you open up in the Nuform Viewer, I can use this list of tools at the top. So the first one I'm going to use, I'm going to go through all of them for today. I'm going to concentrate only on a few. So the first one is Markups. So I can actually go to an area in the drawing, so I can zoom in. I can go to my markup palette, and if I want to, I can draw a cloud. And then from here, I can make a comment besides that. So I could say, for instance, wrong dimension. I spelled that correctly, but I'll just for this purposes, I'll just keep it as that is. And then from here, if I want to, I can zoom in further, and then I can actually email that current view. So it's going to associate this preview in a JPEG format to an email, so I can actually send this view directly to someone in the project team. So when I go to Outlook at the bottom here, I'll select that and then open up the attachment. As you can see, it's taken that preview, and then somebody can say to me back in the email, please spell dimension wrong, for example. So I can go to, or correctly. So I can go to Howard Rule Code 4, and then I can send that to Howard on the project, like so. The next tool I'm going to concentrate on is the comparison tool, which is very favourable with a lot of our customers. So I can go from this document here, and I can pull back to a previous version of my folder structure and overlay the two drawings and compare the two drawings. So if I select this option, and I'm going to pull in a random example, so I'm going to use this file for instance, and select OK, and that's now going to overlay the two drawings so I can compare the two drawings against one another. It should open up shortly. And what I'll be using is a digital light table. So on the left hand side, under compare tasks, there's an option here called digital light table. When I select that option, it's going to give me a preview now of the before and after, so I can pan across and I can go from the before, it's all marked in red, and then all the changes are marked in blue. And as you see at the bottom of the title block here, you can see the title is completely different and the numbering's changed as well. And if I want to, I can actually point to a certain part of this, so the before and after change, and say, okay, at this point, I want to produce a markup on top of that, and then send it somewhere in the project. So you have a nice workflow for reviewing information and also marking up and sending it to somewhere in the project team. I can also, if I want to, I can create an action item behind that, so I can send out an action item. So in New Forma, we have a tool called action items where we can say to somebody in the project team, and I can say, please respond to markup. I can give them a due date, and I can also say, please send a reminder 3 days before if they haven't responded yet. And I can write a little message next to that. So I'll say, dear John, for example, and then I can create this action item, and then I can also say, after this action item has been created, please send a follow-up email. So I can say, all right, I'll send to Howard again in this instance, and that's going to send an email to Howard. And also we have some measuring capability as well. So I can say at the bottom here, drawing units, I'll say millimeters, and I can find a dimension on the drawing, and then I'll just say from, so I'm going to go to my measure tool, and I'll say from this point to this point. Apologies, I'm going to close this markup very quickly and open up a brand new file. So I'll go back to that measurement tool. So it's picked up the previous concrete search on a brand new file. I can zoom into part of the drawing, and I can say, okay, millimeters, at the bottom here. I go to the measurement tool, and I can specify a length. So this pop here says, in order to make an accurate measurement, the scale of this drawing needs to be specified. Do you want to specify the scale? Which obviously you do. And you'll say, okay, this is a dimension here, so I'll say that there from there is 40 mil. Press OK, and then I can measure by area on that measurement. So I can say, because this is that measurement there, and then I can also use some counting tools. So if I've got a room full of lights, I can count each light, and it's going to record every instance of that count, like so. Okay, and that's just a little brief on the viewer. I mean, there are some other tools, but for today, I'm not going to go into all the other tools. Okay, so if I go back to my project homepage, like so, I'm going to next go and show you how to use project email. So if I go into Outlook, there are 3 ways to file emails. The first is a simple, as everyone will be recognized, is a simple drag and drop process, so I can select one or a multiple of emails, and I can drag it to the project, and that's filed. Next is I can actually select an email or multiple again, and I can use this add in at the top here. So in Outlook, I can say, okay, this email here, and I'd like to say, okay, file in a project, and then I can select the project like so, and then I can file. And you can also say, okay, I don't want this email to appear in my inbox once I file it, so you can specify where the email goes, whether it's deleted items or into another folder. It's entirely up to the user. So if I say cancel, and I'll just say, okay, I want to file it to my inbox as I specified in that option, and then I'll just say file. And that's now going to file that email into New Forma. The difference between finding this method and the drag and drop process is using this method, you will get this file by new form ribbon at the top here. So users like to have a bit of reassurance that they've filed the email, so using this method gives them that extra reassurance. And then the third option is similar to the add-in at the top here. You can actually select an email, or you can actually create a new email, but if I select this email here, I'm going to say respond, and then from here, while I'm sending the email, I can file that email at the same time. Okay. Also, we can set it for all users, so if somebody's quite bad at filing emails, we have an option where if they hit this send option, they'll be prompted to file an email to the project. Okay, but if they are going to send an email out to the company saying there's cakes in the kitchen, for instance, they have an option of saying send and do not file. So they'll get this option here, and they can either say send and file or send and do not file. Once again, it's up to the user. Okay, so once I've filed the emails into new format, I'll now go back into new format, and I'll go into the project email area, and this is where I can search and locate those various emails. So if I go to the from option, I'm going to say I'm going to find an email from Howard, and I'll say it's to Adam, and then it contains an attachment like so, and then I can set that email, and I can preview at the bottom here. So I've got a nice preview window at the bottom, and I can see the attachments associated. I can also, if I want to, I can open that email. If I realise I have not responded to that email, I can then reply and respond and file that email also, all in new form. So I'll have that capability. I can also, as I showed you previously in project files, I can use the OCR Search technology again, so I can run that over all my project emails. So at the top here, I'm going to type in the word concrete. And you don't have to just type in one word, you can also type in a phrase if you want to, so you can use quotation marks. So I can say open quotation mark and then say concrete slab and close quotations. That would work also, but I'll just use the word concrete as an example. And I'm going to use this drop down again and select project email like so. And again, after running that search, I can then again use these different filters at the top here. So I can search from Bob and say with an attachment, and then I can select the email, and it's highlighted that specific email that contains the word concrete. It'll either be on the content or it'll actually be on the attachment. So I'll open up the attachment like so, and I can navigate to that word concrete once again in that file, and as it's a DWG file, I've got the ability to use these markup tools at the top once again. Also, just to mention, if 4 members of the project team receive an email and they all file that email, Nuforma is going to only retain 1 copy of that email, so Nuforma deduplicates. We also have the ability to create a confidential folder if required. So on Outlook, if I go back into the project, we have a confidential folder, and these emails, once they're filed, are saved as MSG files on their project folder network. So under this project, there'll be an emails folder containing all the emails in MSG format, and then we also have a confidential folder. So as Nuforma respects Windows permissions, if that confidential folder is only viewable to senior management, only senior management can see those emails that have been filed to that confidential folder. So Nuforma respects the Windows permissions that are set. Okay, so the next option, or the last option should I say, I'm going to go into is Info Exchange. So if I go into project files, once again, and I'm going to navigate through the folder structure again, and I'm going to set these files and say I want to send these to somebody on the project. I can select one or multiple again, and then I can right click on that, and then I can say Info Exchange Transfer Only if I want to, and this is a more informal process, so it's just a 2cc subject and remarks, or I can send a more formal issue, which is through the transfer and log transmittal, like so. And it's going to open up this window here, so it's a bit more broad than the previous window I showed. So in here I can say to Howard once again, and I can CC some of the project team, so you can either use this option, or I could type in a name quite easily. And then from here for subject, I could say Z for approval. And then here I can say for a purpose, so if I want to, I can say it's for planning purposes. This can be customized, so it can say for any purpose you want to send information. Here be the date that this has been created, and then from here, this is where we'd select Info Exchange. And Info Exchange is our web collaboration portal where we can send information, and external recipients can actually send information to us also. So we have that capability in Newformer. And from here, I can say dear ... or say dear Howard in this example. Please download. And then if I say create and transfer, it's now giving me the ability now to say only to recipient members or to the whole project team. I can allow partial downloads. So if I've got 4 files, they can download rather one as opposed to the whole bunch of files. I can say on Info Exchange, I want it to expire after 14 days, and I can also say please send the receiver or the sender a reminder, say 2 days before, for an example, and select OK. And it's now going to send to Howard those 4 files, and in a second I should get an email notification. So it's sending. I get a preview of the transmittal. So just showing what the transmittal form looks like, all the information that I've inputted into that transmittal. And the receiver will also receive that. So if I open the transmittal, it's telling me, okay, I can download the files. And if I open the transmittal, I can view those as well. So if I go into Info Exchange on the web portal, I can then from here download all the contents, like so. So those files there are downloaded on my network. And then if I go back into Newformer, I can go into Info Exchange, like so. And I can look at all my transfers. So I've got 199. And I can pull to this transfer here, which is the PSC for approval. Select that. And now it's showing me the whole audit trail. So it's showing me the date and time that I've created that, when it was uploaded, when it uploaded complete, and the fact that I just downloaded those files. So if you've got 10 recipients that have downloaded those files, this will all be recorded in this change log here. And also they downloaded 2 of the 4 files that had been in a detail column. As I just showed you there, Info Exchange, we can allow external users to access this area, so they can only view the projects they've been allowed to view. They can select the project. If they want to, they can select the send files option and then send files to members of the project team. It's a simple drag and drop process. And this will replace the likes of WeTransfer and Dropbox, because Newformer is going to capture all the information that's sent and received. It can create record copies of that information, and also the main ability you have is to capture all the audit trail behind that information that was sent and received. Okay. And that covers the project files, project email, and Info Exchange. I'm going to download these. Okay, so I'm just going to pan to the slides now.
So thank you, James. Hopefully you got something out of that demonstration. Clearly, some of those quite a broad set of activities that we've shown you to really sort of cover things like email, project files, where your documents are stored, and also some level of collaboration. We've got lots more sort of features that really can help you in your workplace. Hopefully, one of the things that you also took on board was that everything is being provided contextually across different sort of silos of information, and Newformer was really bringing all of those locations of information together contextually to really help you with the task in hand. So flexible workflows is all about what we do. Indexing information is what we do. We find information rapidly to really help you in your task of the day. So hopefully that sort of provided you with an insight not only to our technology platform, but also in terms of what Newformer really is delivering in terms of value. We believe, and our customers believe, that they are raising productivity, whether it be in design or in construction or in operation, to reduce that exposure to natural risk because of the information that is being generated or has been generated, and you may even, to the extent of having lots of archived information, that you want to go back to a particular project and find some information that may have been done 5-10 years or so ago. So Newformer can readily index that information and deliver the results that you've seen as an example. So hopefully that will also free up time to do the things that you do well, not only in terms of design, but really just helping you to undertake the things you naturally do, but takes a normal amount of time to do so. So that's hopefully what we deliver. So just a couple of other summary parts to this is really Newformer has got around about 1,500 customers worldwide. We've got a great track record of high user adoption. I think traditionally lots of technology tends to sit on the shelf because it's hard to use. Newformer is very easy to get up and running. We have this very scalable hybrid technology platform, so really protects future investment, really enables that scalable investment, whether you're using on-premise or cloud or combination of technology platforms to support your future needs. So it's future-proofing your IT investments also. We have a very strong industry-leading connector and information mobility strategy, and what that means is connecting to best-in-class applications. Newformer is not in the business of generating yet another application. We just want to connect information together, making that information mobile wherever you need it, whenever you need it. Finally, a couple of points. Rapid deployment of our technology, unlike traditional document management systems, which do take weeks, months to configure, customize. Talking back to the flexible workflows, Newformer does this naturally because it's providing contextual information to wherever that information resides and whatever silo it resides in. So important in terms of that scalability and access to information. And as a worldwide company, we offer 24/7 support, which really is important, I know, to many that use technology. They want to have that good, warm feeling that there's somebody on the end of the line that really is going to help them. So thank you very much for your time. I'll take any questions. So we're not seeing any specific questions in. One question that has come in is, what's the price of the software? So going back to what I said earlier, it's a very modular way in which we deliver technology. So the communications package starts at £84 per named user per annum. It's a very attractive price and really gives us a lot of value. So that's, I think, all the questions we had. If there's any further questions you have that come to mind, please drop me a mail at pdanes@newformer.com. Give me a call. So thank you very much for your time today, and see you next time. Thank you.